Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. All right, let's see who's all here. Hang on a second here. Let me get set up. I had just lit a little Palo Santo. If anybody is familiar with this at all, it is. It's just a beautiful little. It's a light piece of wood. I believe it comes from India. Its purpose in the spiritual world is that you light it to cleanse the aura, to cleanse the area. It smells like a campfire. Let me just tell you that is the reason why I love to. Oh my gosh, it just brings me back to childhood and sitting around a campfire. My parents would take us camping every Memorial Day, every Labor Day, and to sit around a campfire and just smell that lovely smell. It brings back amazing memories. And that's why I do it, because memories. All right, but first, let's get started. Okay, I want to say hello to everybody. For those of you who may be watching the first time, I'm pretty sure I've got a couple first timers on here tonight. And it is a full moon. Oh, yes, it is. All kinds of stuff going on. I can't wait to go outside and watch the full moon. Okay, for those of you who are watching for the very first time, and I do see a couple first timers on here, my name is Elaine. I'm an animal Reiki master. I'm a Reiki master, chaplain, and medium, all for animals. I feel so connected and drawn to animals. Corporate dropout who just went ahead and jumped right off the high wire and trusted that there would be a safety net. And so here I land now in this beautiful SoulPet community, connecting with all of the animals who are on the other side. And that's what this community is. For those of you who are here for the first time, if you check through the comments, you'll see that everybody is so supportive and offers not only condolences, but genuine, heartfelt, spiritual, emotional support, knowing that you've got a community of people behind you who understand where you are now that your pet has crossed to the other side. Okay, tonight's topic is going to be reincarnation. It's more than reincarnation. It is the topic. Oh yeah, my little feather here. This was gifted to me by one of the beautiful hawks who fly nearby. And it's just, I loved it because it's got all the beautiful colors in there. See that? And yes, I get easily distracted. But I love live streaming, so here we go. Tonight we're going to be talking about reincarnation. Reincarnation, more than that. It's more than what we think reincarnation is. I have got so much to share. I will try to share as much as I possibly can in a way that makes sense, and in a way that makes sense to me. There is a lot of new age woo-woo propaganda. There are a lot of spirituality people who I believe, saying this in the nicest way possible with as little judgment as possible, almost take advantage of people's need to be able to connect with animals on the other side, people's sense of guilt and the need to relieve themselves of that guilt. So I'm here to tell you that this community is all about that, but for us, for free, for this. Yeah. So we're going to be talking about, where do our animal companions go when they cross? So what happens when their spirit, soul, or energy leaves their little body? Where do they go? Well, we're going to talk all about where I think they go. I give you from my personal perspective. And since so many of you have given me the honor of connecting with your animal companions on the other side, and my 3 seniors, plus 2 of my fosters who have crossed to the other side, have given me such amazing insight, that I want to be able to share it with you, not just as a message of hope and healing, but as a way to help you release fear, anger, guilt, remorse, all of those emotions that keep us anchored so deeply in a sense of grief that allows us that keeps us from living the life that we really want to live. Because I promise, your animal companion does not want to see you mired in this, does not want to see you suffering. I did a video earlier this week on suffering, and we'll talk about that more too, to help you let go of the suffering and feel the relief. Just let that burden off of your shoulders, because you don't need to carry it. And that's what our little community and these videos are all about. Okie dokie. Let's say hello to everybody. Now that I've gotten the intro out of the way, let me scroll back up here. Pat, good to see you. Pat jumped on earlier and sent me an email earlier, so I will make sure to answer Pat's questions. And I know that the questions that Pat has also cross your minds. One of them very interesting. Sherry, good to see you. Sharon, awesome. I like to say hello to all my channel members first, and then we'll go back and say hello to everybody else. Okay, so we got Sharon, we got Pat, we got Cheryl, we have got Caroline, good to see you, and Sherry, good to see you. Donna, awesome. Congratulations. Where does that come from? I don't know. Donna, am I supposed to be congratulating you for something? I trust all the messages that come through. Even when weird things blurt out of my mouth that I don't understand. And then we'll go back to, and then there was me, Kali, good to see you. And Jesse Blanco. I posted a little comment in there about how you can get a reading. And who's the other person who I normally have to write down their name? Oh, Lauren, who is Hideous Sales. I don't see Hideous Sales on here yet. A tough day today, big wave of grief and guilt. We're going to try to help you pass that. Grief and guilt are something that we are taught. Grief is natural. Grief is something that we feel after the loss of something, there's sadness, and grief is one of the emotions that we are born with. We're meant to experience it for a reason. Guilt, on the other hand, 100% a taught thing. We are taught to feel guilty. I've shared this with you guys many times before, that from the time I was a young child, going to a specific religious school, taught to be guilty for the silliest things, taught that I needed to confess my sins each and every day, everything I had done bad in that day. And some days I couldn't think of anything I'd done bad. So what was I supposed to do? So we are going to help you release that guilt as I wave my little feather around. All right. Who else do we got going on here? Hello, Kali. And I said hello to Sharon and Pat and Jen. Good to see you. Yeah, Jen, thanks for the reminder about the full moon, because I want to make sure that I make it outside to see that. Now, there is a school of thought. Let's talk about moons for a second, because I love to talk about all things spiritual. My purpose with this channel is to help people manage, cope with, overcome, step out of, release grief after the loss of an animal companion, grief and guilt in particular. But I love all the psychic stuff. I love all the spiritual, metaphysical things, and I can't turn my back on that. I love it, and so I go with it. And the full moon and the phases of the moon are one of those things. There's a school of thought that says that the full moon is always full, that it's just a matter of perception. All it is the placement of the earth and the shadow that is caused between the sun, the earth, and the moon. And that's what causes a moon to either be a new moon or all the phases of the moon and then the full moon. And then it has absolutely no impact on our spiritual, psychological, metaphysical, or physical well-being. On the other hand, the moon is what guides the tides. The tides respond to the cycles of the moon. So if the oceans on the earth are impacted by the moon, and our body is 90% water or whatever it is, I'm making that number up, it's something like that, then it's actually 90% empty space, and then the rest is water. We have to feel the impact in some way, but it's how we respond to that impact that makes a difference. But topic for another day. Okay, Jen, Jody, good to see you. Shelly, nice to see you as well. Randy, I'm thankful that you found us too. And it's not just me, it's us. I promise you, it's this whole community that comments throughout all this. This is bigger. It's me who for some reason was picked by the animals to speak their voice from the other side of life. But it's also all of your animal companions, past, present, and future, and all of you guys that make this community work. So thank you, and you're welcome, and thank you. Okay, so let's see. Caroline, good to see you. Donna, I already said hello to. Miriam, good to see you as well. Okay, I think that's all caught up for the comments. So today, what do we have? I have my notes, and I feel super inspired this afternoon because I also had a private reading that really, really went well. And I thought she might jump on, but we'll see. We'll see if she jumps on. And some people who don't like to comment that still watch, I got you covered. You don't have to comment if that's not your thing, if that's not your bag. So tonight we're also, in addition to talking about reincarnation and where do pets go when their little soul leaves their bodies, and do pets even have a soul? Yes. Trying to even to get away from using the word pets all the time. Also a learned social word. Our animal companions, our partners in life, our partners in crime, our soulmates. Those are the animal companions that share our home. And then beyond that, all the wildlife, if anybody's ever felt connected to any of the wildlife, the birds, the squirrels, the deer, even animals at a zoo. There's a connection there, and we can always talk about that another day too. We're going to do a reading tonight. We're going to do a reading for a kitty cat named Elaine. Crazy, huh? And so for Elaine's human, who I don't know if she will get the message in time, because these readings that I do, these little readings are now, I've just gotten it down to once a week, and that's about as consistent as I can make it. And we're just getting to April. And there's just nothing I can do about that. So I'm letting myself off the hook about feeling guilty about not doing more readings more often, but I can only do what I do. And when I'm inspired to click the button that says, this is the one, like today, and it said, it's a kitty cat named Elaine. Oh my gosh. I had to absolutely do the kitty cat named Elaine, who was pictured with a beautiful little girl. And a lot of that information came through specifically for the little girl that was pictured. That's not who sent the message, but that's a lot of who came through in the reading today. Okie dokie. Let's begin. Let me open my notes about reincarnation. So where do pets go? I would love to welcome your questions. So if anybody does have questions, thank you, Sherry, for supporting Kali. Yeah, right. It does sneak up on us sometimes when we least expect it. A memory will pop up, or their name will pop up. Something like Jack has been on my mind all day today. I happened to be scrolling through my phone, which was getting like it was telling me that it was out of memory because I do so many videos. So it was. So I'm scrolling through trying to see what could be deleted, what could be moved to my little SD card, and up came the picture of Jack, and it was Jack running around, and it really it hits you out of nowhere. Out of nowhere, emotions come up like that. So thank you for supporting each other. Okay. Where do pets go? Let's talk about that first. I'm going to back up for a second because Pat had an important question today that I want to share with you guys, because I think that more than one of you has this question. And I know specifically it came up today in the private reading that I was doing. What happens, or how do I stop feeling guilty about loving one animal companion more than another animal companion? Anybody who has had multiple animal companions, chime in the comments. Anybody who has had multiple animal companions, I can promise you, has thought the same thing. It's almost like a parent and children. If you've got multiple children and you love one more than another, is that impacting the one that you don't love as much? Does it mean that you don't know how to love your children or your pets or your animal companions? Does it mean that they believe that they were less loved, and did that impact their life? I mean, I think of all the things associated with that question. I don't have a solid answer for that. My answer is this: I have multiple children, and I love them each differently. They each drive me insane in a different way, but they each make me adore them in a different way. They have so many unique things. And are there some things that I adore about one more than another? I can't help that the order in which children were born. But what I do is embrace them for exactly who they are and exactly how they came into my life. And I love and adore each and every one. Let's move this to animals. I have had many animals in my lifetime, as many of you have as well. I've had many, many animals: dogs, cats, birds, hamsters. I'm including my children's animals in here as well, because I was the one responsible for bringing them into the home. Dogs, cats, birds, mice, hamsters. I think that ran the gamut for our household. There is one dog of them all that meant more to me than any other dog, and that is Winston. Winston, who was in my life for only 2.5 years. And he went with me everywhere. From the moment that I found him until the moment that he passed, he was with me. He traveled with me when I dog sat. He traveled with me all over the place. And he was my true little soul dog. And I don't know where he came from. He was an angel dog that literally was dropped by angels. But it doesn't mean that I loved Jack or Lucy less. I just loved them differently. And for whatever reason, Winston was sent to me to share something with me that I hadn't had with any other animal. And that was a companion that traveled with me. Jack and Lucy were both big labs. There was no way they just didn't, it wasn't them. But they showed me so many other different things. And when I think of Jack and burying my face in his mane, Lucy with those eyes, if you guys could have seen Lucy's eyes. I love Lucy now more than I ever loved Lucy when she was in the physical. It's a weird thing to experience that, but I love her more. I love her even more now than I did when she was in her physical body. So release yourself of the guilt. I think it is natural. We are human beings here with human emotions, and just like other people of all kinds, whether they're related to us or not, we enjoy the company, we love, we get along with, we gel with different people at different times. And there's no need to make an excuse for it. There's no need to feel guilty for it. It is what it is. And your heart is big enough to love all animals. You just love them all in a different way. That's how I would answer that question. So if anybody else wants to chime in with that, I'm just going to look at the comments here real quick. Do you love them more, or do you love them in ways that just connect with the ways you yourself want to be loved? Oh, I love that question. Wow, Kali, that's a really good question. I would really have to think about that a little bit more. Maybe that's the way that I wanted to be. Thinking of Winston, maybe that's the way I wanted to be loved, or needed to be loved. And he gave that to me. And that's why I feel that deeper connection with him than I did with the other animals. I like that perspective a lot. But there is nothing that we need to feel guilty about, because this is gonna like lead us right into tonight's conversation. When animals leave their physical body and cross to the other side, they don't take that stuff with them. They don't say, I'm not gonna give any signs to my human companion because she didn't love me as much as she loved the cat. It just doesn't work that way, because returning to the other side of life, to non-physical, is returning to a state of pure positive love, where they don't hold us in judgment for anything. They know, and we know, when we talked about relationships and soul pets and soul animals, they knew well in advance, before they even came into our life, what their relationship with us was going to be like. And there's still free will in all of that, and how we nurtured that relationship and what we did. But when they cross, they don't take any of that with them. I joke all the time that there is no cat that wakes up in the morning and curses at his mother for the way he was raised. It doesn't happen. That's a human condition. It is not with animals. They are not able to deceive or lie or be dishonest. They accept our love. They accept us for who we are. They accept the love they can get from us for what it is. We do the best we can at that moment in time. And when they cross to the other side, they just shower us. They shower us with even more love than even when they were present in their physical body. Okay. I feel like when I get another animal companion, I'm going to be leaving Benny behind, and he will think that I forgot about him. Absolutely not. Not going to happen. And Sharon, we've kind of chit-chatted about this. It doesn't happen that way. And sometimes animal companions, we're going to talk about reincarnation and that drop-in soul. They can still connect with us, even from the other side of life. And because we love another, I adore Gypsy, my beautiful Gypsy. I adore her. She's the sweetest soul. She has no reason to love any human because of the way that she was injured and lost her sight, but she does. She offers unconditional love, and so I love her right back. It does not mean, because you haven't forgotten Benny. You won't. I don't forget Jack. I don't forget Lucy. Now, I've left Jack and Lucy. Jack and Lucy have become like one animal. There's no more Jack and Lucy. It's Jack and Lucy. You won't forget them. They won't think that they've been left behind. They won't abandon you. They won't go crawl off into a corner in heaven thinking they've been forgotten. It doesn't work that way. And I think that you know that deep down in your heart. I think you recognize that. There is room in all of our hearts to bring in more animals. There are so many animals on this planet who have come into this world that need a loving home, that other animals on the other side of life are cheerleading for, are jumping for joy, are pulling all the little strings and rearranging all the things in the universe to make it so that the little animal can have a home with you. You don't have to worry about, again, that's a human condition to think that we are going to be forgotten. It simply reflects our own fear that if we die, we'll be forgotten, that if we die, no one will, we won't be taking love with us. No. Let me just tell you this. When you die, you are going to become angelic. You will have such amazing, not just powers, that's not even the right word. You will have the ability to share your love 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000,000,000 times, 1,000,000,000,000 times more than you possibly could on Earth. You'll be able to make such an impact from the other side. That's one of the reasons why I feel animals have asked me to create a channel like this so that we can let go of the fear of dying. It's gone for me. I don't even get sad about it. And I don't care who judges me for that. I don't get sad about other souls that cross back to the non-physical because I don't believe they've ever left me. I talk to them all the time. I talk to, in particular, if any of my family happens to be catching this video, in particular, I talk to a husband and wife who were soulmates here on planet Earth, who meant so much to me when I was a young girl, that made such an impact on me that I still speak to them. They've both crossed over and have been crossed over for years. I talk to them all the time because I know that they watch over all, like I think of them watching over all young people who needed an important influence in their life when they were young teens. So don't ever think that they're forgotten, and don't think that you will ever be forgotten, because you won't. Got to keep moving on. Okay. I think we all think that way. Yeah, we do. It's okay. Let me just read what this one says. That's what I think with my relationship with Gary. He loved me in a way that no soul ever has. I love Potato and all my previous companions, but Gary is the one that got me. That's okay. That's okay. There is nothing. You're not doing anything wrong, and no animal is feeling slighted. None of your other animal companions feel slighted. I feel I had to foster for a week, and both my girls dropped in. All right, so let's talk about that. And I'm sorry it's getting dark here, so now I see my camera getting all fuzzy. No explanation for this. Hey, look, if anybody is a YouTube guru out there who wants to hit me up and give me some tips, I'll take them, because I'm winging this. Every single week I wing it. And I'm also warm, so let me take a drink. Where do pets go? Where do pets go when they go to the other side? I'm going to let the comments go for a second. But let me know if any questions come up. And put in caps, hey, Elaine, question, something like that, so it sticks out when I go through them next. When our animal companions leave their physical bodies, it's instantaneous. You've heard me say this before. There is no lapse in time. There is not even a breath in time. It is as if 1 second, even saying instantaneous is too long. Their soul is within their body, and then their soul is not within their body. So where does that soul go then? And it's the same for people. So where does a person's soul go? I want to just circle one little comment here that I don't want to forget to share with you guys. We have, I'll get straight to the answer first, and then I'll explain to you why we've come up with some of the explanations that we have. Their energy simply drifts out of a physical body into the spiritual. Everything is energy. We are surrounded by energy. It flows to, through, and around us, to, through, and around everything. Everything is made up of energy. So let's get that straight first. This pen is made of energy. I am made of energy. This water is made of energy. It's simply vibrating in a way that organizes it. So earth and gravity, have this ability to, that unlike other planets, although I'm sure there are many other Earths out there, the way that our planet is structured, it allows all of the atoms, molecules, I know I'm not going to, if anybody's scientific, I'm not using all the right words, plonks, whatever they want to call them, to organize into a way. The energy vibrates in a certain way that allows things to take solid form. And then gravity holds everything in place, including us and us. So when we look at a pen, we see a pen. When we look at water, we think of water. But, water is a very special thing. Water has memory. And you can, like, I infuse my water every time I drink it. I just think of love is what I think of. I think of love and I drink my water. And I'm drinking in love. And that's all there is to it. I drink it in. Anyhow, it's all energy. So when an animal's energy shifts out of its body, it simply goes into a different form. You've heard this analogy before from me. Going back to water, you can have water, you can have ice, you can have steam. You can have a river, you can have a stream, you can have an ocean, you can have rain, you can have snow. Water takes a million different forms, but it's all the same H2O, just in a different energetic form. When our animals leave their body, it's the same way. Their energy shifts into a way that we cannot visually see it anymore, but the energy is still there. We'll talk about souls in a minute. We're going to talk about energy first. The energy is still there. It is still accessible to us. It is still around us. And it also flows to, through, and around us. When we look for signs from our animal companions, we are simply asking for that energy to show itself in a way that lets us know that we still have access to the energy and soul and spirit that was once a beautiful little cat or a horse or a dog or a bearded dragon, a fish, whatever it may be. A spider, all of those things, when their energy shifts, it's still there and accessible to us. One of the ways that I'm getting a little bit off topic, but it's still pretty much the same thing. When we go into a place of grief and guilt and remorse, and why I beg people to not use the word suffer. I know, but I promise you, I understand the depth of grief. But to suffer holds us way down here. It's like planting ourselves on the earth without being able to get up and having a boulder smushing us to the earth. And our animals are way up here. They're riding on a cloud. They're floating on a magic carpet. They are in a place that is so pure and so wonderful and so full of love that it's very difficult to connect with us when we're holding ourselves pressed under a boulder. So what we try to do, like just even being part of this community, is just to lift the boulder. That's if we can just get the boulder off of us, then we can start to raise our vibration a little bit. I've also used the analogy of the elevator. So if our animal companions are in the penthouse and we are on the lowest level of the garage, we can hop into an elevator, they can hop into an elevator, and we can meet in the lobby and be able to connect in that way. So there are ways. It takes a little bit of work. It takes sometimes a lot of inner work on our part, forgiveness, where we are so often holding ourselves in anger and judgment over someone, mostly ourselves, but it can be other people as well, and even other animals. I know that I know of a specific dog that was held in judgment for the passing of a cat. Any of those things, they keep us mired way down here, and we want to be able to connect with them. That is part of reincarnation. Reincarnation is not necessarily what you think it is. The only way, unless you have been raised in an Eastern tradition like Buddhism, there are other traditions that believe in that in reincarnation. That's the one that comes to my mind. Hindu, right? Also believes in reincarnation. Unless you've been raised in a tradition that accepts reincarnation as 100% natural, then they don't even question it. That question would not even come up. Like, I wonder if I reincarnate. No, they assume that it is actual. And there's from the time they are born until the time that they cross over and then reincarnate, reincarnation is 100% natural. They don't even ask the question. Here in the Western world, especially with the Judeo-Christian tradition, we are not taught that reincarnation is normal. It's something that some people start to wrap their minds around. Some people believe, some people don't. Some people experience things that lead them to question, I wonder. But we're not taught that reincarnation is real. Now, I've done a lot of research on different topics. I have studied so many different religious traditions, spiritual traditions, all on my own journey, right? My own search ever since I was young. And I remember walking down this gravel path, a dark highway to campground where I was a counselor, and just walking down the path and talking to the stars and saying, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Can somebody, can you point me in the right direction? And I would ask all these spiritual questions of nobody. I would ask the stars these questions. And so I began to explore all these different traditions, and I visited different churches, and I've been to a Hindu church. I can't even remember all the ones that I went to, but I've done a whole lot of research. And what I discovered was that in the early versions of the Bible, before and this is a topic of controversy for some people, and it's okay. I'm not specific, particularly biblical, but there, before the Nicene Council that arranged the Bible the way that we know it now. And then if you think about it, the Bible has been translated how many different times in how many different languages. And the version that most of us know is the King James Version. Well, who the heck was King James to rewrite a Bible? Anyhow, neither here nor there. How did I get started on that? Oh, I found a version of the Bible where reincarnation was mentioned. And so I suspect that it used to be taught and then has lost its way. And my connection with animals has led me to understand from my own personal beliefs that reincarnation is more than real, and it's more than what we think it is. We are taught the way that reincarnation is by movies and television. So that's how we think of reincarnation. We think that when somebody dies, they then come back again. And sometimes it's linked to something called karma. That is more of an Eastern tradition, that you have to shed your karma. We are way past karma, guys. Also a topic for another day, only because it goes so deep. We have shed the need to come back and relive karma. We have risen above that. But that's the way that we are traditionally think of reincarnation. We're in a physical body, and how we behave in this lifetime determines how we are going to be able to return in a future lifetime. And we reincarnate either to make up for sins in a past life, or to do some type of atonement or correction, or we were so good that we get to come back as like a guru or something. And that's the way we think of reincarnation. And then there's questions about, do we come back as a man? Do we come back as a woman? Do we come back? What if at this time I came back and I was born in Finland, or I was born in India? Why did I get born into the United States? Why did I get born in the in the 1960s? All those questions, none of that matters. It's irrelevant to reincarnation. This is what reincarnation is. Reincarnation is about a soul's ability, if it so chooses, I'm using the word it because I want to encompass everything. If the soul so chooses to come back to planet Earth, it is 100% possible. Souls on the other side, and the other side is not a useful term. I'm open to suggestion. Souls on the other side are, the best word I can think of is multi-dimensional. There are so many aspects to them. They're like the facets of a diamond. And we can do anything we want outside of the earthly plane, so outside of our physical body. If we chose to come back here, we can. Animals may also choose to come back here. They can choose to come back here and be our partners. They can choose to come back as a different animal to give us a different experience. They can choose to, I'm just looking at my notes. I missed a couple of points, but we'll go back. They can choose to be drop-in souls, like somebody mentioned over in the comments. And that is perfectly willing, by the way. It's not a thing where you get taken over by some other soul and all of a sudden your consciousness steps aside so that a different soul can inhabit your body. Does not work like that. It is a mutual sharing. So when a horse says to a kitty cat, and this is one very, very specific example that I witnessed personally, when a dear friend of mine, who at the time was just a student, stood for the very first time and looked into the eyes of a horse this close, looked into the eyes of a horse and saw her kitty cat. And the tears that flowed, and the horse that just stood there, resting his head on her shoulder, letting her cry, letting her, comforting her, and then to look into that horse's eyes and see her cat. That's drop-in souls. Drop-in souls are where a soul from the other side can come into the physical, look through their eyes, or simply just be part of them, and allow you to see that. And sometimes it happens all the time where you don't even know it. You don't even know that they've come back. Someone in your house is making your dog's favorite meal, your dog who's on the other side, and then you're feeding little tidbits to your other dog, and they share like that. That is part of reincarnation. Reincarnation can also be not on planet Earth. Think about the size of the universe. And if we really want to go down the metaphysical rabbit hole, it's not just the size of this universe. It's what if this universe is wrapped inside another universe, or another universe? Or what if there's a whole chain of universes? And when we pop out of our body, we are like in this place where we can pick whichever we want to go to, whichever thing we want to experience. And I've mentioned this before too, that the earth is man of the spiritual world. We are here on one hell of a ride. And last week I even asked you guys, who would want to reincarnate? And everybody's like, nah, nope, count me out. Nope, not doing that again. I remember the very first time that I climbed a 14er. And that was, God, 10 years ago. It's got to be 10 years ago. And they're the highest mountains in the United States. And I climbed the highest one, which was Mount Elbert. And it's actually one of the easier ones, even though it's the highest. So I hiked. I didn't climb. I hiked up to the top of Mount Elbert. And it took hours, and it was grueling. And I had I mentally super focused, and I was by myself. The people who I had come with were unable to make it all the way, and they stopped about halfway up, and I continued on. And when I got to the top, and they give you a little sign, and I'm holding my sign, and I was exhilarated. It was such an accomplishment. And I said, but that was one and done. Once in a lifetime, I said I did it, and not ever again do I need to put myself through that kind of crap. And that, because then you had to get down. Once you're up, you had to get down. So I got down the mountain and was exhausted, and I've since done like 5 or 6 more because I can. And because I realize now that I'm able to accomplish more than I ever thought I was capable of. That is what life is like on planet Earth. You have chosen one of the hardest roles that you could choose as a soul. And you come here and you knock it out of the freaking park. And when you get to heaven, you're going, man, I'm glad that's over, but I'm not going to do that again. And then the next thing you know, there you are being reborn because you're up for a new experience. And you know better now because you do retain your knowledge. You don't remember all your knowledge, but you absolutely retain it. And it comes back to you. And the next time, I know that I'm going to pre-program myself. I don't know how exactly to accomplish that, but I'm going to pre-program myself so that when I do pop back in, I'm ahead of the game. That's my plan. That's my plan. Yeah. Okay. So we talked about drop-in souls. Let's talk about the Rainbow Bridge. I'm going to check comments real quick. I speak to my maternal grandmother many times each day. She passed away when you were in 3rd grade. Yep. I talk to my grandparents all the time. So when our animal soul returns to Earth again, can you still reach them in readings and receive signs? Okay, so let's answer that question first, and then I'll look at Donna's. Can you clarify, how do you differentiate being in deep grief versus suffering? Okay, we'll come back to that one. We'll talk about suffering, because suffering to me is like having, suffering is a depth of grief that is so strong that it can't be, you won't allow it to be broken. I'll have to give it some thought. I'll be honest, Don. I got to give that some thought, because suffering is like, I think, the deepest depths of despair. It's not just sad, and it's not just intense sadness. It's the deepest depths of despair where you don't think you can go on. That's kind of suffering. And you can't even get out of bed and you can't function. You go to work and you can't, whatever. I'll have to come back to that. So when they return to Earth, yes, yes, yes. That's what I meant by multidimensional, multifaceted, because souls on the other side, including us, we are only aware of a piece of our soul right here. I mean, our soul is in our physical body, and it's only a small part. The bigger part of our soul is not in our physical body. And the bigger part of our soul, a lot of it is right with us, like our higher self, if you've heard that term, is right with us. But that higher self can be talking to the child version of us, can be connecting with us, can be connecting with a future version of us, can be connecting with an unborn child, can be connecting with our animals, and it's the same thing with our animals. Even if they reincarnate into a physical form, there is a part of them that's always accessible to us. Always, always, always accessible to us. So we can talk to them, we can receive signs from them, and then they can reincarnate. Now, if they were to reincarnate into another physical body, and we were to recognize that reincarnation, we may forget to ask for future signs, but you still could. You could still ask for a sign, because their soul, their oversoul, the higher, bigger part of them still resides on the other side of physical. Oh, Donna, I'm sorry. I know I didn't do a good job of explaining suffering, but I would call that, like, suffering is the depths of despair where you don't even think you can go on, and you certainly can't function. And suffering happens on occasion. I mean, it does happen. Suffering absolutely happens. I'm not talking about the suffering of starving children in a war-torn country. I'm talking about the suffering we bring onto ourselves after the death of a soulmate. It becomes almost a decision that we need to make, a decision to let go of that suffering. And it becomes, if you guys saw my video earlier this week with the dog poop, Gypsy inspired me with that. And a warm blanket of SHIT was what you chose dog poop instead. That's what suffering is. Suffering is like wrapping yourself in a warm blanket of poo. And it's time to, like, shed that, get rid of it. You don't need to wrap yourself in a blanket of crap. You can be sad without having to do that, if that is an analogy that works for you. Okay, let's talk about the Rainbow Bridge. I heard a really cool thing about the Rainbow Bridge this week. I have always said that the Rainbow Bridge is a place that was created, a fictional place that was created by a human in order to help them rise above the suffering. So we created this place called the Rainbow Bridge as a slice of heaven that our animal companions would go to and wait for us. Our animal companions, knowing full well that their lives are shorter than ours, or physical life is shorter than ours. And so they go to this place called the Rainbow Bridge, where they're happy and playful and everybody gets along and they have all the food and water they want, and there's fields to run in and they jump and play. And then the moment that our soul leaves our physical body, we go right to the Rainbow Bridge where the animal companions are. They come running for us, and together we cross over it. So this is this side of the Rainbow Bridge. Together we cross over the Rainbow Bridge and into heaven together. And so the other question would be, what if you had multiple pets? Are they all waiting there? What if, anyhow, you can go down that road. It doesn't matter. All of that stuff is irrelevant on the other side. Time, distance, space, all of it makes no difference. For them, we think that it's lifetime, it's years, and for them, it's the blink of an eye. So that's the Rainbow Bridge, this fictional place where animals go to wait for us until our soul leaves its body. And then we are reunited and cross the Rainbow Bridge together into heaven. And I always considered it a fictional place. I even did a video only just not too long ago, maybe a week ago or so, that said the Rainbow Bridge is right here. The Rainbow Bridge is in your heart. It's not a physical place where animals go. It is because the energy is everywhere, to, through, around us, above it, in the stars, in the clouds, in the ocean, wherever. I mean, the earth is like this, and we think of up and down. Well, the earth is spinning in space. There is no up or down in space. So it's wherever you think that the Rainbow Bridge may be. So I said it's emotional, spiritual. It's really love that's in our heart. And the more that we hold animals in our heart, the closer we are to them at the Rainbow Bridge. This is where the Rainbow Bridge is. But I was watching an interview earlier this week, and it was with a gentleman who really goes deep down the rabbit hole. So if anybody wants to listen to, I mean, he goes way, way down the rabbit hole, and his name is Darius Wright. But what Mr. Wright said that really struck me was that if there are different realms, let's say that, and I'm not going to go through all this. Let's just say that when you leave your physical body on the other side of physical life, there are different realms. There's a realm for angels. There's a realm for gods. There's a realm for the people who are doing penance for their life on earth. There's a realm for, I don't know, he had like 12 of them. But he said there's a realm for animals. There is a realm for animals that most people call the Rainbow Bridge. But what it really is a dimension of space, a dimension like beyond, we're considered 3D here on Earth, that it's a dimension. I think he specifically said it was the 8th dimension or the 9th dimension, that it was the 9th dimension where the animals reside and where all animals go, where every single animal has ever gone, including the ones that we think are extinct and including animals that we've never known their existence of. All reside on this dimension. And I did think that was very interesting. I haven't fully processed all of the whole dimension thing because I think that, where's my little timeline? This is how I explained reincarnation before. Only it's not just about Earth, it's about the whole universe, and it goes in this big circle like this. And you can go back and forth. I see those little holes in there. And we can pass back and forth through any of them. And if we were to fold the holes in half, we could still go back through. That's what I think about dimensions also. I think it's not, I think only we do things linear here as human beings. But I like the idea of a realm where the animals are, because the animals are perfect. Animals are just so perfect. Each and every one of them is so wonderful and so loved. Think about this, guys. Not just me, not just you, not just our little group of friends here. Everybody who loves their animal, that love doesn't disappear. That love goes to the other side. Can you imagine this? What is it really like on the Rainbow Bridge? What is it really like in a realm of heavenly animals? Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine, because we're sending so much love, not just here. We are sending that love out to the realms, if that's what you want to call them, the dimensions. I can only imagine that it just struck me that would be one of the most amazing places ever. So I will do some more thinking about that. But the Rainbow Bridge, I may have to rethink my position on that and consider the Rainbow Bridge as a real place, as a real, actual dimension where the souls of our animal companions go. And when they choose to reincarnate, they just send a little piece out. They're still there. They just send this little piece out to come back and be with us. And that's also where they send signs from. And so I also think that clouds are so important and so easy to manipulate, why that energy is so easy. All right, I'm looking at comments again real quick because I saw something. Oh, that's okay, Aaron. We're kind of we're right in the middle of it, actually. Dog poop. That's what's going through my head. Right? Somebody did reach out to me and say, okay, for me, it's cat poop. I'm like, oh yeah, yep, that litter box full of cat poop. You can have that too. Yeah, Darius is different. He's definitely different, but he's got some interesting perspectives. If anybody, you'd have to really, he's hard to follow. You have to really go, you have to be prepared to go down the rabbit hole with Mr. Wright. Hi, Kendra. Good to see you. Good to hear from you too. And to Kuda. Okay, let's go back to realms. I talked about Rainbow Bridge. I talked about heaven. Heaven, believe it or not, was suggested by the same person that heaven was its own realm, and that there's much more than heaven as we think of it, that it goes way, way, way beyond just heaven. And hell would be its own realm, but not the way that we think of. Like, we're not condemned to hell. And no, I completely agree with this. No creator, no parent would ever, regardless of what the crime is, no parent would ever condemn their child to everlasting, that means forever and ever and ever and ever and forever and more and ever and ever and ever and ever burning fire. It just wouldn't happen. And no creator of whom we are part would ever do that also. But were we to do something here in this lifetime that we held ourselves in judgment for and then died with that judgment, we would probably go to a place where we had to do some kind of atonement, and we may or may not choose to come back and reincarnate. But animals would come back to reincarnate purely out of love and choice, not because they did anything wrong. Okay, the last point that I wanted to make. All right, 2 points that I want to make. Is that what if the answer to all these questions is yes? What if the answer to all of these questions is everything, everywhere, all the time? We have 5 senses. We can only capture and understand so much of our reality with our 5 senses. And I'll give you a little experiment if you guys want to try this week. So we can only, if we were to actually process all of the information that our brain is capturing at any moment in time, we wouldn't be able to process it all. It needs to filter. It needs to adjust. It needs to allow us not to be so bombarded that we curl up under the bed. It needs to be filtered. And so the way that we are raised and the things that are important to us, that's how we filter. So the exercise I'm going to give you to try to test this, it's your reticular activating system is part of the process that helps us to filter all of the thousands of bits of information we receive every day. And it's a little part of your brain, the back of your brain, and it organizes things. So I dare you tomorrow not to see a pink car. So think about pink car. Do you know what it takes to see a pink car? Pink. It can be any vehicle. It doesn't have to be a car. It can be a truck. It can be a bus. It can be whatever. Find something pink. Your brain now has this job, and the reticular activating system is going to be on the lookout, and you won't even see it at first. And then all of a sudden you'll go, oh my God, there was a pink limousine. And believe me, I have manifested. I have, my reticular activating system has found me a pink limousine on demand. So that's, how did I get onto the reticular activating system and everything everywhere all at one time? Oh, that's why everything is happening all at one time everywhere, but our little bodies and our brains can't process it that way. So we think of things in terms of lines, in terms of one after the other, in terms of years and the calendar and the days of the week and the minutes and the clock and seasons and all that. It's only here on Earth. It's only here on Earth. All of that stuff flies out the window when we get to the other side. So our animal companions can be anywhere and everywhere all at the same time. All we need to do is look. If you would like to receive a sign from your animal companion, you can use the same thing, the same reticular activating system that allows people to see shapes of dogs in the clouds, will allow you to hear their name, will allow you to see 10 dogs or 10 cats tomorrow that look just like your animal companion. You can physically receive a sign by programming your brain to see that. And that is a form of reincarnation. Reincarnation simply means that their soul is not just hanging out there in the energy, that it comes through in a way that we can recognize and see. And when we get that sign, it helps uplift us and it helps relieve the grief and the guilt and it helps rise us up a little bit further. And there's so much more to it than that, but that's at least where it begins. Okay, let me look at more comments. Eckhart Tolle. Oh yeah, Eckhart Tolle's another one. Also a little dry, but he's a very, very interesting one to listen to. Time is a human construct, 100%, as is geography. No, there is no animal on the planet who understands the difference between North and South Carolina. That little imaginary line doesn't exist for animals. So let's just see what I heated. We only see less than point. Oh, you heard is what I'm sure that you meant to right there. Yeah, of the light and energy around us, of all the things around us, we sliver of what we actually have access to. It's why perception is so different from one person to the next, because we all are visualizing things differently. Now, I have a sneaky suspicion. I've kind of mentioned this before, but I have no way to prove it. Absolutely no way to prove it. That none of us, same thing. That what I see as a pen, like I could describe it to you, but I suspect that everybody sees it a little bit differently, that the color blue is a little bit different, that it's not the same for everybody, that this is in my world, and this is the shade that I see. And it's why you can't like describe the color blue to someone who's never seen, to someone without eyes. You can't describe it. There is no describing it. Anyway, I digress. The last thing I wanted to say, rules. You are the exception to every rule. Your animal is the exception to every rule. I'm the exception to every rule. I want this. Rules are another man-made construct, just like time. There are no rules. And when we decide, there are some, but only people would have you believe this. If you listen to different spiritual teachers, they would have you believe that there are a small handful of laws that that exist no matter where we are in the whole universe. And those laws would include things like everything is based in love. I go with that because I just feel that to my very fiber. I feel that everything is based in love, and that we will transcend all the things that are not love. And that the only way we can understand love is to experience the opposite of it. But back to no rules. There are no rules, which means that when we get to the other side and we choose to reincarnate, or our animal companion chooses to reincarnate, there are no rules. There's nothing that says you can only come back as a cat. You can only come back as a girl. You can only come back as a boy. This time around, you must be the sister. None of it. It's all wide open. And when we get to the other side, and when we get to the Rainbow Bridge and we connect with them, and if we decide that we want to switch places so that we can know what it was like to be the fish and they can know what it was like to be the human who fed us the fish food, then we swap places. And it's as simple as that. And I often say, you guys have heard me say, I want to come back as a hawk, a bird of prey, right, Jody? A bird of prey. I want to come back as a hawk, and I want to fly overhead, and I don't care if I only get to do it for a day. I want to know what it feels like. And since there are no rules, I know that I can do that. And then when my little lifetime as a hawk is over, I'll do something different. We can do anything. You can do anything. This is the last thing on this topic, and then I got to get to the reading. The last thing I want to say about no rules is that one of the things that animals are teaching us when they cross to the other side is to let go of fear. It is let go, not just the fear that there's no afterlife, not just the fear of going to heaven or hell, not just the fear of never seeing your animal companion again. Let go of all the fear, all that is holding you stuck where you are right now. Let go of the fear. If we could just banish the fear, we could live the lives that we're all meant to live. It's only fear that's holding us back from doing the thing that is our dream. That's it. That's all there is to it. It's just fear. I'm speaking from personal experience. Her six-figure corporate executive job because I couldn't stomach it anymore, and
trusting. I'll tell you, 6 months into it, I was freaking petrified. I was like, what the hell have I done? But we're taken care of. You've always been taken care of. You are taken care of, and you will be taken care of. Let go of the fear and live the life that you want to live. That's what, I don't know where all that just came from. Okay, let's do it. Ask two people to recall something they saw. Yep, it's going to be different. 100%. If you guys want to go back also and look at the video of the gorilla, right, where there's like 10 people standing in a circle and they're passing back a volleyball, and you watch the video and you have to count how many times the volleyball is passed. And nobody sees the gorilla that runs by. Same concept. Catching the end. Hi, Ruby Dawn. Yeah, right, Jody. Okay. A little reading for Elaine. Elaine the cat. That was so cute when I saw the name Elaine. All right, here goes. This is a reading for Elaine the kitty cat, and a lot of it that came up was for the little girl that was in the picture. So I don't know who that is. I'm sure it was Elaine's little girl, but it was for the little girl in the picture. And Elaine looked like, from the pictures, from the best that I could see, like one of those dark, that looks like all silky and smooth.
So yeah, if I was going to come back as a cat, that'd be pretty cool. What came up right away was the Hocus Pocus cat. If anybody's familiar with Hocus Pocus, can't believe October is not that far away. But the movie Hocus Pocus, there's a cat throughout who's a real, a smart ass kind of cat. Um, but so that there's the cat, but it doesn't look that's a totally black cat. But loved her little girl. That's what that reminded me of. The picture of the little girl and the cat reminded me so much of the little girl and the cat. Hocus Pocus. I'm going to look at Judy's comment real quick. I believe the hawk is my spirit animal. They come to your house all the time. Oh yeah, then you know it. So let's, what else? Oh, smarty pants. Oh, a very smart cat, very intelligent, but also a smarty pants is what I got uh, for Elaine. Is that, I wonder if that has anything to do with me. I was always in trouble when I was a little girl. I didn't mean to, but who gets kept after school the first day of first grade? I'll never forget it. For rolling my eyes at a nun. Anywho, so a smarty pants, and that I got the sense that Elaine chewed up things, like a bracelet or the string of a bracelet that left the beads all over the place is something that I saw. A cord, not just a cord, like a skinny. It was a skinny cord. Headphones, like headphones. You know, like put them in your ear headphones that have. That's what I saw, all chewed up. And that she was you had to keep things like that away from her because she was always chewing up wires like that, chewing up wires. Specifically, a message for the little girl. So for Elaine's human, if I don't see you on here at all, but if you want to send me an email, that's fine too. I get a lot of follow-up emails from you guys. I'll keep an eye out for it. This is the message for the little girl, if she's even still little anymore. I don't know how old that picture was. Sorry about the bird. That was birds, multiple birds. Sorry about the birds. I had the sense that Elaine was a bird cat, like got the birds. Not just got the birds. I got a sense that Elaine could jump up and almost like catch the bird in midair. That is perfectly natural. That it was natural. She was not being mean. She was not. She did not mean to upset you. And the one time that she came with feathers, there was feathers. I just saw feathers everywhere. She's sorry about the feathers. Please accept her. Accept her as she accepts you. Accept her as perfect, just the way just the way she is. And if you accept her the way she was, and all animals accept them the way they are, then people will also accept you the way you are. That you are not different. This was a really loud and clear message. You are not different. Everybody is different. Everybody feels out of place. Everybody feels like they don't belong. And for just that alone makes us feel like we belong. So know that you are not different. You are not, you are the most beautiful soul. You are the most beautiful soul. And no matter where in heaven Elaine is, she loves you, and you can feel her. Just like everybody who's ever had a cat, you can feel her, not just on your legs. She jumps into your lap. She jumps on your bed. You feel her all the time. She does something all the time. This came up earlier too with curtains. Something with curtains. I can see billowing curtains, and that's also another way that Elaine is letting you know that she's there, is with those curtains. You are perfect just the way you are. And she does not say that message just for her little girl. She says that message for everybody. You are perfect just the way you are. Love yourself. Love yourself the way that I love you. And I'm speaking from Elaine, and not this Elaine the cat. I love you just the way you are. You are perfect just the way you are. And that was the closing thought from Elaine, was to embrace your own perfection, and don't think that you are less, and don't think that you're not worthy, and don't think that you're unloved, because you're loved more than you could possibly imagine. Oh, making me a little emotional. I'm not sure why. Okay. Is there anything else I want to share with you guys? You know, I'm doing my little animal mystic masterclass. I love to do that. So anybody who really does like want to explore some psychic stuff, that's all that the animal mystic masterclass is. We are going to start to explore things. If you were ever interested, even if you ever had like a little secret interest, you just let me know. We'll have you jump in the class. It's about oracle cards and pendulums, and we're not going to do any devil worship. We're not going to be doing incantations and spells and that kind of stuff. It's about tapping into our natural extrasensory perception, the thing that all animals have. They're natural psychics, and it's the animals who have taught me how to embrace these things, and I want to be able to teach you guys too. So if you're interested, that's all that class is, the Animal Mystic Masterclass. And I think that's it for now, guys. So let me check the comments. Hello, Cactus Smithy. Can a cat reincarnate into a kitten newborn body in the very same day of her death? 100% yes. 100% yes. That happens more frequently than we know. Thank you for asking that question. That's a great way to wrap things up. Animals can absolutely instantaneously, with no break in time, think about this. They can inhabit a little kitten's body. Cat, I'll use the cat as an example. If cat is leaving its physical body, is being born, that soul can instantly jump into the body of the kitten, or it can even happen while they are cooking, while they're gestating. Is that the right word? I think that's the right word. So while they're still in mama's belly, growing and developing, they can be inhabited by soul then. So yep, 100%, it is possible to immediately reincarnate. There doesn't have to. There's no rules that say that you have to wait a certain amount of time. And there are people that believe that. And if that's a belief, I'm not going to discount it. There are people who believe that you have to wait for weeks or months even to connect with your animal on the other side. No, you don't, because energy, it's everywhere. It's neither created or destroyed, and it doesn't disappear, and it doesn't float away, and it doesn't have to wait a certain period of time. It's there. It always was there. It always will be there. Okay, guys, it was great to see you. You're welcome. And we're going to wrap it up. Call tonight. Until next week, or if I see you at some point during the week, may animals light your way. Take care, everybody.